If you are pushing the envelope full tilt in the open bodybuilding division, you would be lucky to make it past 45 years old.
There's at least 5 deaths. Don Youngblood, Nasser El Sonbaty, Dallas McCarver.
I'm shocked now with how much trenbolone people use.
When it comes to bodybuilding, most people aren't satisfied until they've exhausted all means necessary to get the perfect body. However, often people end up sacrificing everything for a bigger figure. So here are 7 times bodybuilders took things beyond the point of return. Starting with Andreas Munzer. Andreas spent his entire life trying to replicate and get the respect of his idol and countryman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Born in 1964, Andreas made it his life's mission to become the best bodybuilder to ever live. However, the path to glory was one filled with difficult choices and sacrifice. Growing up in the countryside, Andreas's early life was full of physical labor due to his father working on a farm, which helped him develop a sense of discipline and a strong work ethic at a young age. During his teenage years, Andreas found a gym where he would visit to lift weights as a way to kill time. But this seemingly random decision would change the course of his life forever. As he began enjoying going to the gym more often, people there began noticing Andreas' natural talent for bodybuilding. With a developing passion for the sport, Munzer moved to Germany to pursue his dream and found a gym where he got to work improving his condition. His growth and improvement was clear to his peers, who had never seen something quite like Andreas. Coupled with his work ethic and belief in his abilities, Andreas would compete in his first ever competition, the European Amateur Championship, in 1986 at just 20 years old. Despite finishing 6th, the achievement was huge for Andreas, who was just starting out in the world of bodybuilding. And it only fueled the fire for Munzer, who finished 3rd in the same competition over the next 2 years. However, it was the year 1989 which cemented his legacy as one of the greats. He competed in the biggest bodybuilding competition in the world, Mr. Olympia, which itself was a huge feat considering how young he was, and finished a respectable 13th place. But during the same year, he competed in the 1989 World Games, where he finished in 1st place in the heavyweight division. However, Andreas wasn't stopping just yet. Despite competing in several competitions, the one which he wanted to win most was the prestigious Arnold Classic, a competition which he entered a total of 6 times from 1990 to 1996. His highest placed finish in the Arnold Classic came in 1990 at 3rd place. But his biggest achievement came at the 1996 edition of the competition, where Andreas finally met his hero, Arnold, in person for the first time. Arnold later mentioned how Andreas Munzer is a perfect example of having a good balance between tremendous definition and tremendous size. Very rarely do you see that. But for Andreas, this was the last time he would ever compete in the Arnold Classic. Prior to the 1996 Arnold Classic, Andreas is said to have been pushing his body to the absolute limits to achieve the perfect physique. However, this process involved a strict diet, consistent use of steroids, and lack of regular medical checkups, which meant that it was only a matter of time before something went wrong. After finishing 6th at the Arnold Classic, Munzer competed in one more competition before being admitted to the hospital on March 12th, following complaints of severe abdominal pain. According to Peter McGough, the last person to have interviewed the bodybuilder, Munzer was prepped for surgery in an attempt to stop the hemorrhaging. His liver and kidneys had failed. On the morning of March 14, 1996, he died, with the official autopsy eventually giving the cause of death as dystrophic multiple organ failure. He was 31 years old. Reports after the competition also suggested that Andreas had an alarmingly low body fat percentage of 3%. Which was unheard of for someone of that size. To the doctors, it was shocking that Munzer was even able to compete in the competition, considering he had numerous table tennis ball-sized tumors in the liver and a heart that had grown to weigh an abnormal 636 grams, well above the typical 300 grams. Today, nearly 30 years after Munzer's tragic death, his conditioning remains the gold standard, and the same can't be said for Greg Kovacs, who had all the talent in the world, but didn't have the ending he hoped. Standing at 6'3" and 4 inches, Greg Kovacs' potential was simply unmatched in the world of bodybuilding. Weighing in at over 300 pounds during competitions, Greg was a force of nature and made his competition look like kids. During the 1996 Canadian National Championships, Greg finished first place, blowing his competition out of the park, and left people stunned at his physique. Greg's arms measured over 25 inches, his chest 70 inches, and his legs a colossal 35 inches. Like his gargantuan size, Greg's power was also unmatched, with a 700-pound bench press for 2 reps, a 500-pound shoulder press, a 500-pound bent-over row, and a 2,025-pound leg press. Greg is still regarded as the strongest pro bodybuilder of all time. Many believe that Greg had the potential to be one of the best. Sadly, however, 1996 was the year Greg would peak in terms of his body. He competed in the 1997 IFBB Night of Champions, where instead of refining his condition, Greg focused on size and weighed in even bigger than a year before. To prepare, he had been consuming well over 10,000 calories a day, according to some reports, which didn't help as the competition was simply in better shape than him.
My arms are about 26 inches, my thighs are about 36, my chest is over 70, things like that. So to a certain point, it's anybody can develop their physique, but to get to this level, I think it's a lot of genetics.
He competed again professionally 4 times, including appearing in the Arnold Classic in 2004, however, finished in 13th place. And finally, Greg competed in the Toronto Pro Invitational, where he did not place in the top 15. By this point, however, Greg was a shadow of his former self. Unfortunately, Greg passed away in 2013 due to heart failure, which came as a shock to many, but not a surprise. An article written by Dave Palumbo mentioned, "While Greg Kovacs' heart was his greatest, most powerful body part, in the end, it was also his most vulnerable. So I posed the question, was breaking 400 pounds a double-edged sword for the Canadian Colossus? In some sense, it immortalized him as the biggest, most powerful bodybuilder of all time. In another, it may have shortened his life by many years. I'm certain, if given the choice, Kovacs would still have chosen the bodybuilding fame and accolades over a more mundane, yet lengthened, mortal existence." Known for his incredible size and strength, Bertil Fox left a permanent mark in the bodybuilding world, inspiring countless people to pursue their own dreams. Fox went on to win nearly every major bodybuilding contest outside of the IFBB, and should have been set to retire as one of the greats. However, he would end up behind bars for the murder of his girlfriend. Born in 1951 in the West Indies, Bertil immigrated to the United Kingdom as a child, where he found his passion for bodybuilding during his teenage years. There, he met some of his biggest idols, including Rick Wayne and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Despite becoming a father at the age of 20, Bertil made sure to support his family financially, as he couldn't be around due to bodybuilding taking up most of his time. According to some reports, Bertil would train 14 times a week, eat 10 meals per day, and take steroids so he could keep up with the competition. And the dedication paid off, as by his mid-20s, Bertil had won every accolade the UK had to offer. Fox won the 1969 Junior Mr. Britain at 18. He went on to win nearly every major bodybuilding contest outside of the IFBB, including the 1976 AAU Mr. World, the amateur 1977 NABBA Mr. Universe, and the professional NABBA Mr. Universe in 1978 and 1979. From 1980 to 1994, Bertil competed in several competitions, including the most prestigious competition of them all, Mr. Olympia. But his highest rank in the competition came in 1983, where he placed 5th, even though many still argued that he should have placed higher. By 1994, Bertil had retired, leaving a significant mark on the sport. He was a legend and one of the most popular bodybuilders of his era. But things soon turned sour to the point where Bertil became a bit of a taboo in the community. Just 4 years after retiring, Bertil was convicted of murdering 20-year-old beauty queen Laoka Brown and her mother. Fox, who had previously been engaged to Laoka, was present at the scene of the crime and was charged with double murder and imprisoned without bail. During a 4-day trial in February, Fox, facing a possible sentence of death by hanging, testified that the shootings were an accident that occurred when he struggled with Violet over his pistol. His best friend, Edmund Tross, testified that Fox had admitted the killings to him and to an associate without making any claim of self-defense. He said he had shot Laoka and her mother, Tross told the court. He said Laoka's mother was pushing him out the door. At that point, he pulled out the gun and started shooting. A seamstress at the dress shop also gave testimony incriminating Fox. Fox was convicted of murder of the two women. He was originally sentenced to death by hanging, but after an appeal to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, his sentence was changed to life in prison. Bertil, at the time, believed that his conviction was a result of a media campaign against him, which ran headlines of a juiced-up bodybuilder taking his girlfriend's life. However, that sentence didn't stick, as in 2022, Bertil was pardoned by the governor of St. Kitts and Nevis after serving 25 years in prison. Today, Bertil lives in the UK with his family, and while he's achieved some of the greatest heights to have ever been seen in the world of bodybuilding, it will always be stained by the atrocious acts he committed. But while Fox only had himself to blame for his downfall, Greg Plitt lost his life after a tragedy no one saw coming. Born in Lutherville, Maryland in 1977, Greg Plitt was destined for a life of fame. After his father opened a home gym when he was in the 6th grade, Greg became a fitness buff and dedicated his time to improving himself, and that tenacity and drive remained in Greg as he grew older. He graduated from Gilman School in 1996, where he was an active member of the wrestling and football teams, and later graduated from the United States Military Academy in 2000. Following his graduation, Greg served as a ranger for 5 years, and during this time, his peers felt that there was something different about Greg. Whether it was his personality, work ethic, or drive to be the best, Greg was simply built different. While his time in the Army was great for Greg, his passion lay elsewhere, namely in fitness and acting. Greg spent the next several years building a modeling portfolio, appearing on the covers for magazines like Men's Fitness, Muscle and Fitness, and Men's Health, while also doing commercials for Old Spice Body Wash, Under Armour, and Calvin Klein, among others. In his later career, he had several acting roles. Images of his body were used to create Dr. Manhattan's muscular physique in the 2009 film Watchmen, as well as the corpse of General Zod in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. His work ethic and dedication got him the title of the #1 fitness model in the world, which Greg used to boost his own social media presence, especially on YouTube, where he uploaded motivational material for people looking to better themselves. However, it was his constant desire for thrill which turned out to be the end for Greg. It was January 2015 when Greg had planned to shoot a commercial for an energy drink near a train track, when he had the idea of trying to get a shot of him running alongside a charging train. He had believed that the train was moving on a parallel track, but as the train charged further ahead, Greg soon came to realize what was going on. He tried to escape, but it was already too late. The oncoming train proved to be fatal.
At 4:09 p.m. Saturday, police responded to a call that Plitt was struck and killed by a Metrolink train in Burbank. Police believe it was an accident, saying Plitt was filming some sort of video on these tracks with 2 other people and no permit.
Fans were shocked at the scene and wondered whether he could have been saved. However, the conductor tried his best to provide the warning for Greg.
The train conductor did see him. He sounded his horn and hit the brakes on the train, but he was unable to stop in time, and Mr. Plitt did not seem to react to the horn.
Here's a good example. Here comes an Amtrak train behind you. Now this train is going to go speeding by rather quietly. It blows its horn because he sees people here. But in many times, as that train arrived, you didn't hear it coming, did you?
I didn't hear it at all.
His death left a void for those who loved and looked up to him. His girlfriend, Christina Ursula Stayskal, was left in tears while giving an interview to the Los Angeles Daily News as she mentioned how he was trying to get the best shot when the tragedy happened, something which defined Greg perfectly. His life was a testament to the philosophy that you can unlock your full potential if you worked hard and did your best every single day. Nicknamed the Golden Panther, Denise was one of the most popular female bodybuilders of the 90s, standing at 5'5" and weighing 140 pounds. The Texas native came to San Diego in 1989, where she began training at Gold's Gym at Pacific Beach. Once she won the Orange County Muscle Classic and California State Championships in 1991, the Golden Panther was unstoppable. Within the next 2 years, she trained for Miss Olympia and finished second place in 1993. However, that would be her final show, as Denise retired from professional competition in 1993. The decision came as a huge shock in the bodybuilding community, as Denise was the clear favorite to win the 1994 Miss Olympia. The bodybuilder felt for the underprivileged children. Hence, she returned to Texas and joined Calvary Cathedral International Bible College. Following her time in college, Denise made it her life's mission spreading the word of God at various religious revivals. In 2001, Denise made a brief return to bodybuilding and started training to maintain her condition. But she never competed professionally again and wouldn't be in the public eye until 2012, when pictures of her arrest were made public. Her condition degraded majorly due to using steroids, growth hormones, and other substances during her bodybuilding days. However, in 2019, her family confirmed that Denise was back to working at the Fort Worth Ministries. Sadly, they've also confirmed that she still wants nothing to do with her bodybuilding past. She went from being one of the most popular bodybuilders in the 90s to wanting nothing to do with her bodybuilding past, which just showed how steroid use in bodybuilders usually does not end well. Born in Stuttgart, Germany on October 15, 1965, Nasser El Sonbaty had no interest in lifting weights or professional bodybuilding until his teenage years, when he began lifting weights as a teen to get his legs stronger for soccer. Speaking to David Robson of bodybuilding.com in 2008, El Sonbaty said that he hated the big bodies and the veins of the guys in the magazines, which was ironic considering Nasser would end up turning into the very thing he despised as a child. And that distaste began to change when a former Hungarian weightlifter at El Sonbaty's gym saw his talent and advised El Sonbaty to train his upper and lower body for better balance. This was the spark Nasser needed, and with a structured training routine, he entered a local bodybuilding show in Germany and placed 6th as a junior competitor. On the stage, success started to pile up. El Sonbaty earned his IFBB Pro card in 1990 and placed in the top 10 at 3 IFBB Grand Prix events that same year. His success throughout Europe did not go unnoticed in the US, and the initially reluctant bodybuilder soon received an invite to the biggest stage of them all, the 1994 Mr. Olympia. No one expected El Sonbaty to rival eventual winner Dorian Yates in 1994. But he put on a solid showing in his Olympia debut, clinching a 7th place spot and beating out the likes of Andreas Munzer in the process. Even more important, his physique caught the attention of bodybuilding kingpin Joe Weider, who gave the rising star a full-time contract. The contract turned out to be a life-changing moment for the bodybuilder. The following year, El Sonbaty finished 3rd at the Mr. Olympia, again behind Levrone and the eventual winner Dorian Yates. He repeated that placing in 1996, albeit with a certain degree of controversy. A month after the competition, he received news that he had been disqualified from the competition. However, that did little to hurt Nasser's growing popularity within bodybuilding, as he regularly achieved podium finishes in competition, and with his physique, he was a threat at any show he entered. He just needed that elusive Olympia crown to legitimize his career. And the 1997 edition of the competition seemed like the perfect stage for Nasser to win. His major competitor, Dorian Yates, had also visibly declined by this point, and now his body was racked with pain, thanks to a torn triceps suffered just weeks before the show. But when it came time for the winner to be announced, it must have felt like deja vu throughout the arena. Yates, again, came out as the winner, as El Sonbaty looked on from the runner-up spot. Bodybuilding is subjective by its very nature, and that's partly why the debate surrounding Yates' victory at the 1997 Mr. Olympia continues to this day. And for El Sonbaty, it marked a drastic turning point in his career and life. A victory at the 1999 Arnold Classic signaled the last hurrah for El Sonbaty, as he retired from bodybuilding in 2005. However, in 2008, he took part in an infamous series of interviews with David Robson, in which he cast a wide net of criticism, taking aim at everyone who he felt wronged him. He mentioned how Yates won despite a huge belly, looking like he was pregnant in the 6th month, a waist like a drum, a torn up left biceps, a freshly torn triceps, a quad tear left, a quad tear right, a torn right hip. This was a completely staged outcome and the biggest bodybuilding robbery of the 20th century by the clique of judges. Further adding, "I got so badly cheated. My trust will never ever be the same. The lost trust is beyond possible repair." And he went in hard on the judges, saying, You can impeach the president of the US, but not the pro bodybuilding judges. You can never hear them admitting mistake or failure. For many, these interviews cemented his legacy as one of the few bodybuilders to speak out against the injustice he faced. But they also showed a different side to him, a side which fans adored for his brutal honesty and quick wit.
Who's your hot hero in bodybuilding? Who do you admire the most?
I don't admire anyone.
What package do you need to show the judges that will beat everyone else?
You can't answer this.
No.
In 2013, Nasser would unfortunately pass away in his sleep in Egypt.